be afraid to lean on your support system when you need it. You don't have to do everything all alone. You're stronger than you realize. And I think it's important to embrace your unique journey, your child's journey. Don't get caught up in comparing yourself or your children to other people because your journey is yours. It's unique and it's beautiful.
The Podcast Empire, podcast mastery for women in business.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Podcast Empire. Today we have an unstoppable guest joining us, the author who has unlocked the secrets to leaving an incredible legacy through overcoming adversity. Get ready to embark on a transformative journey as we delve into the wisdom and resilience of our unstoppable guest, one of the authors behind the Unstoppable Series 4 best-selling book series. This is the Powerhouse edition, produced by Elsa Morgan. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired as we explore the power of perseverance and the legacy we can all create. Let's begin this unstoppable conversation with Lisa Kennedy. Now, what I know about Lisa is that she is a dedicated Christian mum. She's a certified Christian life coach and an advocate for neurodiversity, specializing in autism, ADHD, and anxiety. And she has a strong foundation in faith and mindset, and she empowers other mothers to navigate the challenges. Welcome, Unstoppable Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
This is a Powerhouse series, and you are helping so many people and giving a chance for communities and mothers to navigate. We know all of the challenges where we're spinning all the plates as mums. So what inspired you to write a chapter in Unstoppable for the Powerhouse edition?
Yeah, great question. So we all have a story, every single one of us. And I truly, truly believe in the power of sharing those stories, sharing our own individual stories. And through this journey of raising neurodivergent children, there have been so many challenges and so many triumphs in my life, in our lives, that I really believe that I can offer hope and guidance to several other women that are going through a similar journey.
Absolutely. And especially when you're having the lived experience yourself, just that sounding board, just that I know, I hear you. I went through that as well. This is what I done. This is some practical tips or resources. This is who I contacted, connected with. This is helping communities in such a great way, especially to leave a legacy for next generations. Now, you've achieved so many great achievements too, Lisa, throughout your journey and really stepping into helping others as a Christian life coach. What has been the biggest achievement in your life that you're really most proud of?
Yeah. So I heard something once and recently, and a light bulb went off, and that was when you have a neurodivergent family, you can individually have triggers that trigger each other's triggers. And that is us. Each one of us in our family, my husband, myself, my three children, we are all neurodivergent in some way, shape, or form. And so I think when I take a step back and look at this, probably the thing that I am most proud of is really the fact that I've created such a loving and supportive environment, based on faith, right? For my family, while advocating for neurodiversity. Because when I started this journey, I had no idea. I didn't know what autism was. I didn't know anyone that had any autistic children. And so really being able to step into that advocacy role and help other people on this journey, whilst seeing the kids thrive, who the three kids, they each have individual needs. They have similarities but differences, and being a part of that and just seeing their happiness and watching them thrive while sharing our story has really just been such a profound journey, while of course additionally balancing my professional career, and then of course striving to help other parents again who are on a similar journey.
Absolutely. Now, when you talk about neurodiversity, what does that encompass?
Yeah. So neurodiversity, if you think of it, actually, we're all neurodiverse. We each have different neurological makeup. But there's been this neurodiversity movement, I think, to emphasize, to focus, to bring light to, things such as autism, ADHD. Anxiety is really a secondary part of autism and ADHD. When those needs aren't met, we see anxiety skyrocket. I put anxiety into that category of neurodiversity, even outside of those two things. I am not autistic. I do have ADHD, but I also have anxiety. I have family members who do not have ADHD or autism, but they do have anxiety. And so there is an umbrella. If you were to look at the neurodiversity umbrella, there's several categories. It can be dyslexia, but the primary ones that I focus on and that I talk about, again, because they're first, for experience firsthand in our family, are the autism, the ADHD, and then, we talk about anxiety. And that's a great question, because a lot of people, while it's becoming a popular term, I'm finding a lot of people out there who don't exactly know, what does neurodivergent mean? What does neurodiversity mean? And so it's really just an umbrella term, and it's helping bring light to the fact that, I may think different, I may have different support needs, I may have different sensory needs, and here's how you can support me best.
Absolutely. And the more we share our stories, the more relatable it becomes. And what I find in this kind of area is people are raising their hands. Me too. My kids, my grandkids, my husband, my partner, my wife, a family member, the person next door. We all know someone within our proximity that maybe doesn't talk about it or has been diagnosed, but there are signs. What would be some of the signs that would cue you to maybe meet somebody or be aware of somebody in your proximity that are neurodivergent?
Sure. So when I think about autism, again, I have three children. My middle child was two when he was diagnosed. It was 4 days after his second birthday. And when I look back then, I didn't know, of course, what we were dealing with at the time. But, for him, there was lack of eye contact. He did not clap his hands. He wasn't pointing his finger. He didn't play with toys. He couldn't stack blocks. He just walked around and he kind of held one thing in each hand and was a happy kid. And didn't have very many words. And we just figured, well, his sister, who was older than him, does everything for him, so he'll learn to talk. And it wasn't until we started, of course, going through testing that all of these red flags started to, go up. So in terms of autism, I would say, some of the primary factors would be, a speech delay. Again, that feeling of anxiety that, Chase would go through the mall and we would have a change in the platform, meaning that it would go from white to a black tile and he would freeze, because the way that his brain was perceiving what he was seeing, he wasn't sure what that was, if it was a hole, if he was going to fall. He didn't know. And so, hesitancy, repetitive play, there's a whole listing on the CDC website of several criterion that fall into the autism category. For our youngest son, we actually had to have him tested twice because he had 15 of those signs and symptoms that are on the CDC website. However, the diagnosis was missed the first time around, so we had to go back and get him retested. When we talk about ADHD presents in a couple of different ways. My husband and I are both ADHD. My ADHD presents very differently than his. I am a multitasker. I have to be doing several things at once. I never slow down. I get involved in a lot of things. Whereas my husband, he needs to focus on one thing at a time. He has a Ferrari brain. So when he, sits down, he will actually fall asleep because his brain is in overdrive. He's constantly thinking all the time, and he kind of like shuts down when he takes a nap. So it's, that lack of focus, or you can be super focused. Again, lots of information on the CDC website about what the signs and symptoms look like. And then when we think about anxiety, the way that it presents for us, my daughter and I, for example, it's a lot of shyness, quiet when we're out in public settings. We tend to be extroverted introverts, meaning that we can do something, we can go out there with a little bit of hesitance, but it takes everything out of us that we have. And then when we come home, we need to retreat to our room and recover, because that's a lot. Avoiding situations, not doing things that you're interested in, all of these things can, lead to or look like an anxiety diagnosis. And anxiety, ADHD, autism, there's lots of signs and symptoms. They all overlap. And so that's why it's really important to work with a professional to figure out what exactly it is that you're dealing with or your child is dealing with, so that, my daughter doesn't like when I say this, but you know what tools you have in your toolbox, right? So it's not that it's a problem, but what am I dealing with? Why do I feel this way? And then what tools do I have to be able to help me thrive and to be able to help other people around me understand what they can do to help me thrive?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that explanation, because I know a lot of our listeners, like you said, they're hearing this word neurodivergent, but what does it actually mean, and how to recognize a sign so you can actually go and get professional help and start maybe with your GP and reach out to people like you that are sharing their experiences and advocating for people that have just been diagnosed, or helping them through the process as well. Now, you've been on such an amazing journey throughout all of this experience. And if you were to go back, Lisa, and talk to your 20-year-old version, what advice would you give the 20-year-old Lisa?
I would tell her to breathe. And that really there's a plan. Trust that plan, trust what I believe is God's plan. I would tell her to embrace every challenge that presents itself as an opportunity for growth, because it's through those challenges that we grow. I would not be where I am today. I would not have what I have, or the people in my life that I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have the challenges that I've had in my life, both in my life and in my children's life. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, but I believe that when we have faith and we maintain a positive mindset, that really will guide us through each and every time. We always end up where we're meant to be. Um,
Absolutely. We have to stay out of that comparison zone, because we are all unique creatures. And what
mhm.
kind of inspiration can you share with women who want to really pursue their dreams and they feel like they're just not ready?
Yeah. So, been on this autism journey now for about 8 years. And what I can tell you is, being on this journey for that long, is there is never a perfect time to start. There's always going to be something, there's always going to be a child that needs you, or a family member that needs you, or a job that needs you, or something that pulls on you, and your dreams are valid. So it's really important that as you navigate this neurodiversity journey, that you don't get lost in the diagnosis of whatever you have or whatever diagnosis your child is carrying, because your individual dreams matter. And I think it's important, again, to not only lean on that support system, but surround yourself with people who are positive and who are uplifting. You know, you may have heard we are the product of the 5 people we hang around most, right? We spend the most time with. And so it's really important for those to be people who inspire you, who have your back, who make you feel positive and are not negative all the time. It's okay to be uncertain and not have all the answers. It's just about taking that first step. It's the start that stops us. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can do. And, I love that. I truly believe God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the called. And so if you have something on your heart, if it was planted in your heart and if it's on your mind and you can't shake it, that's a sign. That's a message. That is what I believe is part of your calling. And if you just step into that, trust the process, and embrace your faith, God will guide you. He'll guide you to fulfill
Absolutely.
His plan for His people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Some golden nuggets that you're dropping there, Lisa, and some and expert words of advice as well, and so relatable to so many people. What kind of message would you like to leave the audience on today?
This journey is tough. Life is tough. And one of my mentors, near and dear to my heart, who has since passed away, but something that he shared with me that I will never forget is really the idea that the law of opposites. Everything has an opposite. So for the moms, for the parents, for the listeners who are really struggling right now, going through a difficult journey, if it feels like you're down, if you're in a slump, I want you to know that there's an opposite to that. And that whenever there's a low point, there's always going to be a high point. And we really have the choice in every moment to focus on, to choose what we're going to focus on. So whilst it may be a difficult point in your life, if you're going through a hard point, know that there's always something to be grateful for, and that on the other side of that is something great. And if you choose to, you can choose to shift and put your energy there.
Yeah, we have to make that choice. And like you said, at every low point, there's the opposite to that.
Mm-hmm.
So embrace the journey. Excellent words of advice. Thank you so much for joining us on this unstoppable episode. We hope you found our conversation with this unstoppable author as captivating as what I did. I can't wait to read Lisa's chapter. And if you're ready to embark on your own journey of resilience and leave a lasting legacy, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast for more empowering content just like Lisa's. And while you're at it, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a comment for Lisa underneath this episode so we can hear your thoughts on today's episode. And to dive even deeper into the Unstoppable Series 4, the Powerhouse edition, be sure to grab your very own copy in the link in the show notes below and immerse yourself in the stories that will ignite your determination to push you beyond your limits. So to connect with our unstoppable guest, Lisa Kennedy, click on her links in the show notes below and stay updated on Lisa's latest insights and all of her upcoming projects. And remember, like Lisa shared, it's never too late to start creating your own unstoppable legacy. Thank you once again for joining us, and we'll see you on the next Unstoppable episode, and we'll see you in the pod. Thanks, Lisa.
The Podcast Empire, podcast mastery for women in business.